Hey everybody. Alright, so for one of our first Fabulous Ladies videos, we are going to learn how to change the oil on my 2008 Saturn Outlook. So, to start with, here's my wonderful, great Saturn Outlook, and the oil that we're going to need is 5W30 because I have a lot of miles on my wonderful vehicle here. I got the extended performance high mileage formula. It does call for a synthetic. It's really easy to figure out what kind of oil your vehicle needs. If you don't know where to look in the manual, you can just Google it. Like I Googled what oil filter I needed. So I Googled this. I was at AutoZone when I got it. In AutoZone, it actually pulled up and told me which one. And I just found it on the shelf and purchased that. I need 5.2 quarts because, you know, you can't just get the 5-quart gallon. So I had to get a single quart over here to go with that. And then down here, we've already looked it up and I need certain tools to go with it. So under here, I've got the drain pan, because when you open up the plug under here, all the oil has to have somewhere to drain. And then I've got the 15mm wrench right here, a combination wrench right here, that we're going to be using to pop this open. So let's get started. Okay, so as we all know, adapt and overcome. So we got started, and this is the first time I've done this, so there's probably going to be some critiques, and that's fine. But we looked it up and we found out that we were supposed to use a 15mm wrench. Well, we got under there. The first one we used was a little loose, and we didn't like that because if you round out the screw, then you can't really use it, and you're not supposed to do that. So we went through a couple different ones. I'll show you when we get down there. We decided to go ahead and lift up the car because it doesn't have as much clearance as we would like, and it's a little tough moving around in there, especially since I don't have the leverage I need because I don't have big, strong guy muscles. So we did that. So we'll be in there. I have a couple things. I was wearing gloves when we started. I decided to take them off because when the oil starts coming out, I don't want the oil all over my gloves. It's a lot easier to wash my hands than it is my gloves that I use all of the time. Got a mallet, got some paper towels down here, and obviously the drip pan. So come check it out. Okay, so down here, just to give you an idea, it's a really tight squeeze. So a couple of safety things first. Make sure that when you're jacking something up, you jack it up in the right place. So this is a metal part right here. There are parts of your vehicle that are specifically made to withstand the pressure of the jack. So make sure that you look that up on your vehicle and you know where to go. You can YouTube it just like this. However you need to do, Google it is a friend. We have what are called chock blocks behind the rear wheels so that the car can't roll backwards, and my emergency brake is on. So we're using all the precautions that we can to make sure, well, honestly, I don't die while I'm learning how to do this. So once we got all that taken care of, we started out with this wrench right here, but as you can see, it's got a lot of little give right there, right? And we really didn't want that. So we found out that this one, sorry for the noise, this one's a little bit more stung. It doesn't have as much give, which is a little bit better. And because I don't have those giant, like, you know, marine muscles, I am using a mallet to help me break open this screw because it's very tight for a reason, right? So I'm using this to slightly hit it. Now, if you don't have one of these, that's fine. You can use it. The main purpose of using this design is that it doesn't mess up my tools, and it's a little bit easier, has a little bit more surface area so I don't mess it up. So I'm about to try to break this open. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of worked on it a little bit before we started. So if you get in here and it's really hard at first, don't feel bad. It was pretty tough. So just give it what you got, do what you can. If you can't, don't be afraid to ask for help, right? I'm not doing this. Obviously there's someone back there holding the camera. So make sure you do it safe and make sure you do it right, because you don't want to mess something up really bad and then have to pay for the fixing when you're trying to save money by doing it yourself. So don't be afraid to ask for help. It's also pointed out that there's a lot of pressure on this. So as I open it, where I position my drip pan right here is going to be able to catch oil that's not only dripping directly down, but is also going to shoot forward a little bit. So we're going to bust this open and see what we get. So here we go. All right. So what we call broke. So now I'm just gonna get in here and I can do it with my hand. So remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Don't do this in any kind of clothes you don't want to get messed up, ladies. All right, there we go. And don't do it if you're afraid to get dirty, because obviously changing your oil is a messy job. And my little handy helper over here has got my paper towels. Look at that. All right, so we're gonna let this drain out for a little bit, try to get all the oil out of it. I'm gonna get cleaned up and we'll see you when we change the filter. All right, so we drain the oil out of the bottom. So now we have to take the filter out and change the filter. So if you look at what we've got going on the hood, there's a lot of different things up here. So I've got a couple of different tools. I've got something to demonstrate. So if you look down in here, there is this little blue part that's right down here, and this is what holds the filter. It's very similar to a cup, and it's screwed in, and the filter actually sits inside of this, so it's actually going to be full of oil as well. So there are a couple of different ways you can get this off. I'm sure there's more than these, but we have just a couple of tools with us right now. So this one is kind of interesting, just to show you, like, it would slide around, and then you put pressure on it, and it clamps down and turns, right? And then if you need to turn it the other way to tighten it, you go that way. So that's one. That's the other one. This is obviously just like a giant wrench right there, right? It just clamps on and goes. So I have these two different ones. Because of the tight space down there and the way it is, this one's not really working for me. So I'm going to go with this one, and I am going to undo this. Now, keep in mind that this filter is not where the drain plug is. So before you undo this, because all of this oil is going to pour out, move your drip pan once it's done so that your drip pan catches the oil as it comes out of the vehicle. So you can see down here that we move the drip pan, and then we put a larger drip pan underneath it because we're not quite sure, honestly, where all the oil is going to go, and we're trying not to be really, really messy, just semi-messy. So my objective right now is to reach down in here, loosen this up. Remember, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So I'm going to loosen it up. I'm just going to use this just enough to break it. Then I'm going to use my hand, unscrew it, and try to somehow in this tight space, and obviously this can be done because it has been done, pull it out without letting the filter fall out and making a huge mess, and then pour the excess oil into the drip pan down below. So let's see if I can manage this without making a huge mess. I'm not quite sure. So reaching down here with the tool, I'm gonna break it. All right, so got it loosened up. It's loose enough for me to do by hand now. So it's coming off pretty easy. Oh, there goes all the oil. It's getting pretty slippery, not gonna lie. So, oh, look at me, magic. Almost lost it, ladies. Almost lost it, but managed to recover. Got a couple paper towels right here. If you're afraid to get dirty, don't do this. So I'm just gonna pour out the excess oil right here. And then put that right there. So that's what it looks like. The filter is in here. And I'm going to tell you some more in just a little bit. So nice and dirty. I'm going to go get cleaned up and then show y'all how to change the filter. All right, so remove the other filter. The filter is down there. It's draining out so that it can clean up. So this is the filter that I chose. Honestly, I didn't have any magic anything. I Googled it. It was one of the ones at the store. The good thing about this one that did stick out to me is it's good for 10,000 miles. Oil changes you used to have to do every 3,000 or 5,000 miles. That's usually what's recommended. You can look up your vehicle to see what's recommended for your vehicle, but I like this one because it lasts up to 10,000 miles because honestly, I usually don't change my oil every 3,000 or 5,000 miles. So this is what it looks like. The other one was blue. This one is black. We're going to take off this plastic. Excuse my very dirty hands. And I was told I had to unbox it on video, so now I'm struggling to get the plastic off. There we go. All right. All right. So trade secret that I was just told to do is to get some of the old oil, just a touch of it, and run it on the rim of this gasket right here. The gasket is what helps seal it inside where it's going to go. They're very important. Also make sure I didn't talk about this earlier, that when you take this one off, your old one, that the gasket, you can see it right here, is still in there, because if that stays in, your new one is not going to seat properly and it's going to cause you a lot of issues. So just take it, run around the rim just a little bit right here, and I'm going to come up and I'm going to put it, remember, righty-tighty, so when you put it back in here, I'm going to start with my hand, and then I'm going to go back in with the tool and tighten it up. And since I can't see what I'm doing, this might take me a second. There we go. I know, ladies, dead air. Here we go. This is part of it, right? Adapt and overcome. So you got to figure out where it goes, and it's awkward because you can't see. So my cameraman's trying to say that he's going to do it for me, and I'm telling him, no, I'm going to figure this out on my own. So hopefully y'all can respect that. This isn't about knowing everything perfectly. This is figuring your way through it. So that is what I'm trying to do. So hopefully y'all can respect some of that fabulous lady spirit and get it. So there we go. All right, so I think I got it on where it needs to go. All right, there we go. Got it. Okay. So give yourself a little bit of credit, give yourself a little bit of time. It's not going to go perfectly every single time. This is a video, so it should look smooth and great, but that's not life. So the trick is you're going to tighten it up. You don't want this to be super, super tight, because once it gets heated and you start going, it's going to kind of find its seat. But I'm going to tighten it fairly snug with my hand, and then I'm going to come back in with my little tool, and I'm going to tighten it up enough to where I feel like it's secure and it's not going to go anywhere. So that's pretty good. It's not really turning anymore. It feels seated. So now the oil filter has been changed. So I feel good about that. It took me a couple minutes, but that's all right. The oil has drained from the oil filter. So we're going to move up here before I start pouring the oil in to kind of show you what's going on. So right here is where you're going to put the oil in this vehicle. Remember, your vehicle is going to be different, but this does tell you what type of oil you need. So this is 5W30. Which, as you can see right here, it tells you on the bottle 5W30 right here. Because I have so many miles on my vehicle, I did get the high mileage formula extended performance, and it does call for synthetic. So as you can see right here, this is a full synthetic oil. It's a little pricey, but you don't want to put something that doesn't belong in your vehicle in there, because you're going to cause yourself a lot of problems. So make sure that you get exactly what it's called for. And what we're going to do is I'm going to move the drain pan back under where the drain plug goes, and trade secret or what was recommended to me is to pour just a little bit of the new oil in to let it run through and wash out any old stuff or anything like that. Just maybe 2 seconds, like pouring a shot, honestly. Let it pour through, make sure it comes out through the bottom so that everything's kind of washing out. Make sure when you do that, that you funnel for one thing, and that you clean your funnel out, because you don't want any debris going into your engine or your engine oil, because that will cause huge problems, because this oil keeps everything lubricated in your vehicle, and if you have grime buildup in there or anything, it's going to mess up the pistons, it's going to mess up what everything's going, and your engine's not going to work right. So make sure before and after you use the funnel, you clean it out, get any dust or debris or anything out of it, and then after you clean it as well, so that it's ready to go for the next time. So I'm going to move the drain pan, come up here, bust this step open, pour in a little bit of oil, and then we'll be ready to pour in the rest. All right, so I moved the drip pan back so that it's ready to catch the oil I'm about to pour through, just to kind of flesh out some things. So as you're doing this, like I said, one of the main things is you don't want a lot of grit and grime or excess anything getting down into your oil reservoir. So when you undo your little top right here, right, lefty loosey, so you're gonna undo it. Sometimes it might stick a little bit, that's okay. Well, there we go. All right, pull up. Okay, so right here, what you're going to want to do is just come in, not over your oil reservoir, because like I said, you don't want anything getting in there. You're just going to come in and clean this out. Now, a lot of times people won't do that if they're changing your oil, because what do they care? It's the top. But if you do this and there's any excess grime or buildup or anything like that, it's not going to go back into the reservoir when you're done. You can also come around here and look and see. Be really careful. See, mine's really dirty because I use my car a lot. So just real easy without trying to get anything down into the reservoir. Just kind of clean up a little bit like that. See how dirty that is? And keep it clean. If you do this every time, you're not going to run as much risk getting stuff down in there as you normally would. So I'm going to put that right there. Oh, I'm going to lose it. It's good. All right, so put my funnel. Just seat the funnel down in here. Remember, I'm not going for perfection, ladies. All right, so I'm going to pour about 2 seconds worth of oil in here just to kind of flush through, and we're going to make sure it's going to start coming down through the under through the drip pan down there. All right, so just enough. And look at that, clean oil, much prettier than the sludge that is in the drip pan. So we're just gonna let that run through for a couple minutes, make sure it gets any debris out, and then we're gonna start filling her up. All right, so back under the car, ladies. So first of all, note to self, when you remove the drain plug, don't lose the drain plug. Make sure you remember where you put it so you don't spend 5 minutes frantically looking for the drain plug. Ask me how I know. So, found the drain plug wrapped up in a paper towel. So like I said, it's not about perfection. It's about learning, and that's what we're doing here. So, what we're doing, I'm cleaning this off right here because 1, it was really grody, and 2, I'm about to have to screw it back in. I'm going to come in here as I remember where I'm putting it. And up here where the oil comes out, the reservoir, I am going to come in and clean because it's really grody and dirty. And just clean this out. It's still dripping. This is a dirty job, so don't be afraid. Obviously, I don't have like pretty nails or anything like that. It's COVID, so no one really has pretty nails. So cleaning all this stuff out. It's still dripping a little bit, but that's all right. And I'm sorry for those of you who are concerned about paper towels. Normally I would have shop towels or rags, but I'm kind of running a little low right now, so I'm going through some of our COVID stock of paper towels. So cleaning it out, it's pretty grody. I'm going to come in now and hand tighten this so that I can move my drip pan and actually get in here and tighten it. So it's just hand tight, just enough to keep things from dripping back out on top of me. Got it tightened up. So I am now going to move all this grody, nasty stuff out of my way and come back in here with the tool that I found that works best. And ironically, just to let you know, they're both the same size, they're just different brands. So don't be afraid to play around. I went through 3 or 4 different ones until I found one that fit. So I'm gonna come in and start tightening this up. Righty tighty, don't be afraid to play with it. All right, so it's pretty much as tight as I can get with that. I'm gonna get back in here. I left my mallet out there. I'm gonna get back in there because I had to break it with a mallet. So I'm gonna make sure that I tighten it enough that it would have to be broken with a mallet. So now that I'm done with that, now that I've got things tightened up, I'm gonna get back up top and put some oil in, and hopefully I tighten it enough that it stays. So. Okay, so like I said earlier, we researched how much oil my vehicle takes, and it takes 5.2 quarts. So when I went to the store, I got a 5 quart, and then I got a smaller 1 quart, which logic, anyway, we're not gonna get into that. So my funnel's here. I've got the 5 quarts here. I'm gonna start with this, start pouring this in. Hopefully, if I tightened and did a good job, and I'm not gonna lie, I had my trusty camera guy check me to make sure that I have everything tightened, because I've never done this before. So he's verified that I tightened everything properly. So I'm gonna start pouring this in. Then we're gonna check the oil and talk about the dipstick. So I won't lie, I already already opened this and got the plastic off so I didn't have more issues. So you're gonna open it, take off your little foil right here, have your funnel, and I'm sure there's a perfect better way to do this, but I'm just gonna start pouring the oil in. Just watch it. It's gonna fill up and the air is gonna come out of it. Just pour it in nice and easy, nice and slow, no rush, no hurry. It's way prettier and cleaner than the oil that came out of it, that's for sure. My Saturn Outlook is probably very grateful right now. So a couple of things to keep in mind. Once again, safety things. Make sure if you're gonna jack up your vehicle, you're not putting all of your weight on it. I'm short, so I'm standing on a ladder. So just go from there, all right? Also, just to give a shout out for future, we are wanting to do a vehicle maintenance day for our fabulous ladies and daughters. So if you're interested in learning more about this, not just necessarily how to change your oil, but how to check your oil, how to put windshield washer fluid in, check the pressure of your tires, change a tire, anything like that that you want to know just to be more independent or know a little bit more about, so that you don't feel like you're getting ripped off for something when you go to the auto store. We're going to be talking about that. And we have a lot of girls who are going to go to college and may want to know this information before they go, so they're not having to rely on somebody and you feel a little bit more confident in their abilities. So be looking forward to that. We'll let you know when we have that scheduled. COVID kind of slowed us down, but we are planning on that with a couple of other different nonprofit organizations. So we're really looking forward to that event. So I'll let you know as soon as that goes and you can actually get hands-on and figure out what to do with your vehicle. All right, so now I've got the 5 quarts. So I'm gonna do 5.2, which is, oh, I was just reminded by my trusty camera guy to check down here and make sure that nothing's pouring out of the bottom. And lucky me, I apparently gained marine muscles during this process and tightened it up well enough that nothing is leaking out. So I'm gonna add my other 2 quarts. We're gonna make sure nothing's leaking out and we'll be right back. All right, so I added the other 0.2 of a quart while we were off camera. So what I'm gonna do now is check and see the level of the oil. Now, there's a lot of debate and I've talked to a lot of different people. Some people feel like you have to check the oil only when the engine is at running temperature, so turn it on and let it run for a little bit. Some dipsticks show when you can check it when it's cold. Obviously the vehicle's cold right now, which means it hasn't been running and it hasn't run for some time. I'm still gonna check it to get some type of level. Then when I'm done checking it, I'm gonna let everything down, the jack down, everything like that, and then I'm going to turn the engine over, let it run for a little bit, let everything cycle through, make sure nothing explodes, which hopefully we're good on that end, and then let it run for a little bit and check it one more time. You don't want there to be too much oil in your vehicle because that can cause problems just as well as not having enough. So you want it right in the middle. So I know from previous experience that my little dipstick down here is a little finicky. So don't be afraid if it doesn't want to come or go. Like, you're not going to really break anything if you pull it out. So the dipsticks in my vehicle is right here. Yours is probably going to look a lot different. So I'm going to pull it out right here. You're going to want a paper towel handy, because the way that you check it, if you've never checked your oil before, is you come in, you clean off whatever's already on the dipstick, all right? And this is an oil dipstick. Now, since I have this clean, I'm going to show you. There we go. So you can see the 3 little dots right here, and there's some little patterning on the metal. So down here, this is your fill line. This is low. So if you're below here, you need to add oil. If you're up here, this is your full line. If you go above it, that's when you know you need to take oil out. So you want to be somewhere right in here. Now, understand that just like any type of liquid or anything like that, once you turn your vehicle on and things get hot and start running, it's going to expand. So that's why a lot of people say you need to check your oil when the engine is running, because you want to make sure that you don't run around with too much oil in your engine, because it'll cause you problems. So when I put this back in here to pull it back out, I'm looking for something that's above this line and below a level with this line. So let's see what we do. And like I said, this one's a little finicky, so I kind of have to push her around a little bit to get her back in here. So you put her in, Push it in, let it sit for a second or so, and then pull it back out. And as you can see, I am right here at this upper line. I don't know if you can see it. You can see the wet on there. So right up that at that upper little dot right there, and that's where I want to be. So that's why I'm going to check it with the engine running for a little bit to make sure it's not expanding and going over, because I don't want that. If that's so, I'm going to have to drain out a little bit of oil, which, you know, lessons learned. So I'm good that way. I'm going to remove the funnel real quick. You want to make sure you put your cap back on. You want to make sure that it is secure. And they go on here in a certain way, so make sure you tighten it and you turn it to where it stops. Make sure everything's kind of clean. If you have any oil from pouring stuff in, once your engine gets hot, it's going to burn off. So don't be alarmed if you smell that smell. Like we said before, you're going to want to come in here and clean up your funnel. So I'm going to do that in a little bit so that I don't waste the video time. There's a little bit of grime on there. And we'll turn on the vehicle, let it run for a little bit, and then we'll come back and check and see and make sure the oil level is where it needs to be. All right, so we closed everything up, made sure everything was tight. Nothing blew up when I turned the car on. Thank goodness, nothing is leaking out anywhere. So I turned the engine on. The engine's been running, oh, 5 or so minutes, just long enough for me to kind of clean up. So I came in and checked the temperature gauge. So if you don't know what the temperature gauge is in your car, on mine, it's right here. So it has this little symbol right here. I know it's kind of hard to see. So it has this little symbol right here. And I know that running temp is somewhere right around there. So you can look up the average temp. Mine actually has numbers on it. Some gauges don't. But I know that mine runs somewhere around the middle. You don't want to get up here. So now that I'm at engine temp, good running engine temp, I'm going to come back and check the oil again to make sure that I didn't put too much in. So while it's running, I'm going to check it. Now keep in mind that it's going to be a little bit warmer than when you were doing all of this cold, and that's okay. Don't touch anything that you don't need to touch, and you're not going to burn yourself or anything like that. So have your paper towel ready. You're going to pull it out once again. You're going to clean it off, and as you can see, my engine oil was really dirty because even though we've done this a couple times, there's still a little bit of grime on there, but it is looking much better right here. So, gonna make sure it's all nice and clean. Stick it back in. She likes to stick and be difficult, so don't be afraid to force her. Let it sit for a couple seconds. Pull it back out, and then once again, all right, so I am up over that line. So it looks like I'm going to be removing some oil from my vehicle now that the engine is warm. So essentially that's going to be like the process before. I'm just going to drain a little bit out, close it back up, and check it again to make sure it's good. Like I said, ladies, it's a learning process. Don't expect perfection. So now that we're doing this, we're going to do that, and then we're going to talk about how to recycle the oil when you're done with all of the work. All right, so the oil change is complete. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, let's be real. I'm sure there's a lot to critique. It was messy. It wasn't perfect. Couldn't get the oil filter back on right away. Lots of different things going on, but I did it, and I honestly feel great. It's the first time I've done it myself. I did have a little help from my cameraman back here, who happens to be co-founder Rodney Lopez. So I really appreciate all the help, and that's what FOB is here for. That's what Fabulous Ladies is here for, is helping, right, and teaching people these skills that they need. So I learned, I had a lot of fun. I don't mind the dirt and the grime. Obviously, fixing to have to go find some stuff to clean my hands with. But before we wrap everything up, there's one more important thing. So we want to be environmentally friendly and take care of all of our responsibilities here and make sure that we're not doing any more damage than necessary. So one important thing that you need to do when you're done with this is recycle your oil. So one easy way to do this is take this empty oil container that the oil came in with a funnel, and I'm going to take this dirty oil and I'm going to pour it in here, and then I'm going to take it to a local oil recycle shop or oil change shop and let them have it so that they can properly recycle it. There are laws about this, so just keep that in mind. The oil filter is going to go in a plastic bag and go with the oil too. Like I said, we love our country. We love the men and women who fight for our country. We love the men and women who serve our communities. And part of respecting that is respecting where we live. So we're going to be taking care of that. It's going to be messy. I'm going to want him to help me, so I'm not going to put it on video. But as I wrap this up, once again, I want to say thank you so much for joining us and supporting Future Operations Space. If you don't know about us, look us up. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We have our own website. We are a workshop-based nonprofit organization for veterans, first responders, and their families. Our goal is to teach vocational skills, provide recreational therapy, and give back in service to those who have served us. So we have a mobile outreach shop where we go out and provide home modifications and repairs to those who are in need, our veterans and first responders and their family members. So if you know someone, contact us. I'm Sarah Rose. I'm one of the founders. My camera guy back here is Rodney Lopez. I'm going to let him give himself a selfie in just a second because I do owe him a lot. He did just teach me this. If you have any questions, comment below. I'll put a link to the website on there. We're always good for donations. Please, we have a lot of people who are in need of help. So if you have 5, 10, 20, I don't know, $2 million to donate, we are more than open to that. We accept tools, materials, anything like that that we can use to help other people. But at the center of everything is community. And that's why we do this Fabulous Ladies and have a Fabulous Ladies thing. So hashtag Fabulous Ladies over here. If you are a female veteran or a first responder and you want to learn how to do things and don't want to get mansplained to, that is why we're here, to teach different things. So look us up, join us, fill out our membership form. We'd love to have you part of our FOB family. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Bye, guys. And I couldn't do it without my awesome co-founder, Ronnie Lopez.
Thank you.
Not only teaches, but cleans up as well, ladies.